I ran and pushed open the front doors of the auditorium. Surprisingly, they were unlocked, and I proceeded into the dark and deserted house. I jogged through the alley of seats until I reached the stage. From there, I hoisted myself up and turned on my cell phone's flashlight. I walked towards the left wing and spotted the staircase. I proceeded towards the staircase, and when reaching the top of the staircase, I began to second-guess myself. The stairwell, only illuminated by my flashlight, proceeded into a darkness that we universally fear. I contemplated how far I had come and my intention to find anything the police could have missed. With a deep breath, I managed to descend the stairway. My steps echoed both in the theater above and the room below. When I finally reached the bottom, I observed the dusty room. I spotted the opening that had led under the stage. I walked over to the opening and attempted to jump in place to reach the window. This proved difficult with one hand, and I realized with a sigh that I would have to put my phone in my pocket, extinguishing the only light I had. With no other choice, I shoved my phone in my pocket and raised my hands in the air. I jumped and my fingers landed on the edge of the opening. I hoisted myself up and into the hole. I did a sort of crouch walk as I explored the interior of the stage. The floor was covered in a thick layer of dust and my legs grew tired of the awkward movement. Despite this, I managed to crouch walk to the speaker. That's when I noticed something. The speaker was still blocking the hole that Chris had supposedly exited through. I doubted that neither the police nor he had moved it back into place. I turned around and moved towards the opening that I came through. After carefully lowering myself from the opening and into the room, I took out my phone and turned the flashlight on. I began to walk towards the stairs when I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Across the room there was a wall about the size of a doorway that was surrounded in darkness. I had seen this wall on my way in and paid no regard to it, but now something was different. Instead of a shadow, it looked like a curtain. A black curtain. The next thing I noticed was a bulge forming in the shadow-like curtain. The bulge lifted the curtain until the bottom of the curtain was no longer dragging on the floor. Once the bottom of the curtain had been swept high enough, I could see something that was a darker shade of black than the darkness it emerged from. It looked like an inhuman leg. The next few seconds I only remember vividly. I sprinted up the steps, ran out of the auditorium, and next thing I knew I was inside my car gasping for breath. I didn't stay for my classes. I decided to just drive home. As soon as I arrived, I went upstairs to my room. I decided to give up looking for Chris. I wanted to help him, but I was simply terrified of the idea of returning to that room. I threw myself onto my bed, and with little effort, went to sleep. I don't know if the nightmares that followed were a result of my overreactive imagination or something else, but since that day, they always start out the same. I am inside that horrid room, and I began to move towards that unearthly curtain. I brush past it and see a narrow, featureless hallway. I move through the hallway for what seems like an eternity until I reach a stairwell. My footsteps echo as I descend down the stairwell. When I reach the bottom, I am faced with a pair of double doors. I push them open and find a theater. And on the stage I see Chris. He is covered in lacerations and is coughing up blood as he tries to breathe. The house is filled with dark figures who are watching him as he writhes in pain. He makes one final attempt to breathe until he goes limp. The lights from the stage fade as he lays in a pool of his own blood. I step into the theater, and the instant I do, the figures all turn towards me. They all wear comedy masks, but I swear they are smiling under them.